It is early morning here at Ohio Wood Burner, and I think my new business model is I am buying firewood and I'm trucking it in with my trailers. A lot of these logs that you see behind me, they're not processor logs, so that's going to be chainsaw and splitter, which is what you see here. I'm set up for that. But I do have, I'm getting into the sun here, low sun in the morning. I'm using this Timberwolf. I just set it right on this pile of oak, and I'm just going through it to get all that processed. A lot of those logs have been here for too long, and they're showing some mushrooms. But when oak dries out, the bark falls off, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, I had a interesting milestone 2 days ago. We had our 8th anniversary of Ohio Wood Burner when we sold our very first commercial delivery. 8 years. Who would have thunk it? It's like if you raise kids, they're these little tiny kids, and you turn around one day and you're like, where'd they go? And this 8 years really snuck up on me. I mean, it feels just like yesterday when we started. I can't believe for some of these restaurants that I've been doing them for that long. But I look at my invoice. I have this invoice program, and all my invoices have a sequential number, and we're in the 2000s. So over 8 years, we've had that many deliveries. And then when you look at the way that we do firewood, the way that we sell firewood, we go for margin. I don't like volume. It's just too much work. All these guys that pile wood and do the split and sell, people think that they're saving themselves effort, but I had already tried that, and it's just too much work for a sole proprietor. My goal when I started Ohio Wood Burner was, how can I make a living out of selling firewood? The easy thing with firewood, because selling firewood is easy. If you're not in on the secret, selling firewood's so easy. You can literally sell firewood by accident. You can. You can even try to not sell your firewood, and you will still sell your firewood. But especially for me, how can I make a living out of selling firewood? It's just me. I don't have a big crew. At that time, I didn't have any machines. And I had this problem of finding logs. Hashtag surprise, 8 years later, I still have this problem. But I had started looking at firewood critically because I had looked at other companies and I had seen what everyone's doing, and everyone kind of just does it the exact same way. And I kept hearing this mantra in firewood about no touching the firewood. If you touch the firewood, you lose money. And that just never really seemed to set right with me because, we've been down this road before. Firewood is a commodity. It is just like gold or silver or beef or limestone or sand. It's a commodity, and you add value to a commodity and you make its value go up. Well, the same thing goes for firewood. Well, firewood is produced and mostly sold at a commodity level. And the mantra in that group of people is you can't make money selling firewood. You cannot touch the firewood. You cannot look at the firewood or you're going to lose money. And despite all of the videos here that I show on how I do it, that message still persists. Even though I'm showing that is just completely not true. That the more you touch firewood, the more you process it, the more value you put into it, and you can sell it for more. And that is how I had figured out the way as a sole proprietor to make firewood. So we do everything pretty much opposite of the way the split and sell crowd does it. We don't split and sell. Everything that we make is stacked, and we only sell seasoned firewood. On top of that, we throw out all the odd shapes and the offcuts. There is no mud, there are no mushrooms, there's no infestation. And we don't sell cords or multiple cords. We only sell small quantities. I had found that if you cut your quantities down, you can ask for more money because there's a value in that. And there's a large population of homeowners out there that want firewood and they just want a small quantity. They don't want a lot of it stacked around their house all summer long. That is my market. It is almost as if I was paying attention to all the other firewood companies and listening to what they complain about customers. And then I made those customers mine. And I hear a lot from people that will say, you know, Joe, I understand what you're doing, but it would just not work where I live. My area is not like yours. But I would point out to you that I live in the Mahoning Valley of Ohio. And if you know what I'm talking about. All you have to do is Google it. The Mahoning Valley is one of the most economically disadvantaged areas of the country, and it has been this way for a long time. And despite that, there is still a large population of houses out there that want this style of firewood. The people that buy firewood off of me weren't buying firewood before. It wasn't until they found out that I was around. They just want 1/6 of a cord. I will take it to them. They want wood that is ready to burn right now. I will take it to them. They need wood taken up the steps of their deck and stacked into the rack. I will do that. I'm going to charge you for it, but that is where I had learned about margin. You don't have to sell firewood cheap. You can sell firewood expensive. And when I talk to people that are interested in the firewood business, or the most frustrating ones is when I talk to people who sell firewood and they come in here and they just don't understand what they see. They think that there's not enough wood in here to run a business. And I think that means they are just comparing my yard to their yard. I don't need as much wood as them. It's just too much work. When I started this business, I made just about every mistake that you could possibly imagine. Everything that I had done was wrong. But what I did right, I was able to keep my eyes open and change and adapt. And if something wasn't working, I had the courage and the self-esteem to admit it and to move on. There were times when my phone wasn't ringing. There was time where I couldn't get a log to come in onto the land. There were times I couldn't sell a stick of firewood, but I stayed at it. It just seems to me that if anyone is very interested in starting not just firewood, but any business, the most important step is to get started and then don't stop. When I hear from people that are thinking of getting started in firewood, I have come to the conclusion that the people who are out asking for everyone's advice are the ones who are not serious about getting started, because the best time to have started that business was yesterday. And then the second best time to start it is today. It seems to me that people are looking for an excuse to not get started. And I had just learned that the more people that you ask, the more obstacles that you put in front of you. Because I think there are a lot of people out there, they may be well-intended, but the advice that they have is probably not appropriate for you, or it's just going to cause you extra grief, extra headaches to where you're not wanting to get started. I would never tell anyone that there is bad advice. I am not that knowledgeable at what I do, and I am also not that full of myself to have such an opinion about other people. What I would tell you is there are a lot of people out there whose advice is not relevant to what you're trying to do. And I think that there's probably not a better example of that than the firewood industry. A lot of people, especially if you're wanting to start value added or bundles or mini firewood, there are a lot of people out there that do not understand it, and they feel that their way is the only way to do it. I mean, here's a small test. Stack some firewood and then go read the comments on YouTube. But appropriate advice. For instance, what if you wanted to start a jewelry store? Would you go ask a gold miner on how to run it? Or if you wanted to open a butcher shop, would you go ask a rancher on how to sell steaks? Probably not. Same thing in firewood. If you want to sell value-added firewood, you don't ask split and sell, because there's that much distance between these two markets than there is between a jeweler and a gold miner. A split and sell company is commodity firewood, and a value-added company is on the opposite side of that spectrum. So if you are ever talking to a person in the firewood industry, and if they ever make a comment that, well, in firewood, it's a low-margin industry, that's a clue. Because firewood, it may be a low margin industry the way they do it, but I would tell you that firewood is a high margin industry. 300, sometimes pushing 400% markup. But if you were talking to someone and they make a comment like that, that may be the truth for them, but that should be telling you you are talking to the wrong person. The same thing if they were to say you cannot touch firewood or you will lose money, there should be red flags waving around because that person is operating on faulty assumptions. That may be the way that they do it, and they could be successful at it, and they could be a dear person, but in this case here, that is not your market. During my open house 2.5 years ago, this gentleman comes walking into my land. He's a local guy, and he was talking to a friend of mine, and he makes a quick look and he says, there is no way that this guy makes a living selling firewood. This guy said that he sells firewood himself. He has a massive yard with a bunch of machines. He says he does everything right. He never even touches the wood before it leaves the yard, and he still cannot make money. I never met him. I would have told him, it tells me you're doing everything wrong, because if you can't make money selling firewood, maybe you need to change your methods, because this touching the firewood stuff, it's put you on a dead-end street, and look where you're at, man. You're just another one of these voices that you can't make money selling firewood. But I'm telling you that you can if you do it the right way. If you have the capital, if you have the labor, if you have the machines, yes, you can have a massive operation. If you have a never-ending supply of logs, go for it. But I don't, and I have adapted to that, and then the final result is what you see here at Ohio Woodburner. 8 years we've been doing this now. I would hope that if anyone had a business for 8 years, that it's profitable and that you can make a living out of it, and I certainly do. If the Martians were to come down today and they said, we have to remove either your YouTube channel or your firewood business, which would it be? And that's easy. YouTube would be gone. YouTube is fun. I make money with it, but it's not a living wage. The firewood business is 100%. It's an entity all on its own. I remember when I first started, so I was a firewood business for 3 years before I was a YouTube channel. And I had always said that at that point, when you start, you're building your client base and your sales keep going up. And then my YouTube channel grew so fast. I kept saying that both my YouTube channel and the firewood business were on the same upward trajectory. And that was true. But as of 4 years ago, the firewood just keeps continuing to grow, and YouTube's kind of flat. You don't make as much money with YouTube as you think you do. But the firewood business, yes. This is a cash cow as far as I'm concerned, and the sky is the limit. But my limit is getting my logs in, because I don't have a kiln. I can't sell. You can't produce seasoned firewood. You have to make it and stack it. So my profit is about 4 to 6 months down the road, and that is my challenge. But that is coming from me. If I can do it, I know that you can do it, because I have never run a business before. But then again, I've never bankrupted a business either. I have skills, and I just always knew that I could do this. It's not rocket science, which, when you talk to an accountant, or if you're asking advice from someone about how to run a business and the only thing they have to offer is, well, you got to calculate your cost of goods delivered and your sales general and accounting, and then you got to calculate a 40% markup on your profit, I would tell you that you're talking to the wrong person. If you are looking to run a business and you're asking someone for their advice, they should be telling you, identify your market, and then direct everything that you do, your marketing, your production, your delivery of customer service, to fulfill that market. That is how you run a business. The accountants and the bean counters and the people who only think that is the way you run a business, is moving decimal points around, those are the people that aren't putting money in the coffers. They are the lazy ones of your organization. And trust me, I know, because I used to work with a bunch of accountants. Okay, I just wanted to share that with you. I got work to do. My high school help is here. We got stacking to do. I got to make more firewood. I got to get through all these oak logs, then into the hickory, and then back to our maple. I got the parts have come in for the Japa. I got to get it fixed, and I will show you those repairs, give you some good insight on how that machine works. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great day.